Hi everyone, I wanted to do a walkthrough of my pottery studio, and so I'm going to break this up to doing a quick walk around for those of you that just want to see an overview, and then I'll do a detailed walk around and talk about some aspects I added in, some things that I probably wish I did different, and just kind of show you some of the tools I have. A lot of the things I have in place I made or salvaged or upcycled. So everything in here was extremely cost effective. I did get this barn from Georgia Yard Barns. It was a 12 by 24 double lofted cabin. And so it came completely, it was a complete shell inside, totally raw. Wood, but the outside was painted with the exception of the porch. We did stain the porch, and we'll eventually add some skirting. Added, of course, electricity out here. Dogs have scratched up my door already. I would definitely recommend don't ever get metal latex paint because it just peels right off and it's complete trash. So I'm going to end up having to repaint this or probably a Tupper enamel on it. But anyway, added this little porch light here. Excuse the mess, I've been cleaning out my studio. So like I said, this is a 12 by 24 double lofted cabin, and it's got a 4-foot front porch on it, so that makes the interior dimensions 12 by 20. Plenty of enough room for what I'm using it for. Since I have created this space, I've done some changes, kind of shifted some things around, put a lot of stuff on wheels, which really helped to use the space better. Coming into the door, I have my throwing wheel here. Right now it's pushed up against the wall. I've been doing more slab rolling, hand building and slip casting, so right now I've got it pushed up against the wall, but it normally does turn around and face the windows, so I have the view into the backyard. Got a little cart here, additional storage here. My slab roller this is a dedicated cart for now, but if I wanted to, this is a portable slab roller, so I can move it and have an additional work table. Got some shelving underneath, and like I said, everything is on wheels, so it makes it really easy to move around when I need to. Behind this is for my shelf for my thrown pieces, so after I throw, I will put them up here to get them ready to go into the drying rack once I'm finished throwing, but that's just a quick little shelf I can put everything on. Got my wear boards here. Beside that, I have my drying cart. This was made out of a baby bed, and I'll talk to you a little bit more detail about that shortly. Do have running water in here, and I did purchase a small hot water heater, which is an absolute lifesaver because my hands get so cold with playing around in the clay and the water all the time. So this sink, we tapped into an old irrigation system outside that we did not use. So while we have running water coming in, we do not have disposal going outside the building. I actually am catching that in a bucket, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a little bit. Storage cart, so this is where I put my reclaim and these buckets. I've got my trash can, so just some other little tools. This area here is my kiln room. So we actually built out, I want to say it was about a 5.5 foot square corner of the building that we completely enclosed in, made it as safe as possible for firing a kiln. I do store some things in here while I'm not using it, but I have my kiln supply cart with my kiln shelves and cookies and kiln wash and everything on it. This gets pulled out when I'm firing. I also have a tension pole shower caddy that I got at a thrift store for just a few bucks, and I use that to put my stilts on. We did make this room larger with more clearance than what was needed for this particular kiln, but I wanted to have the ability and the room to bring in a larger kiln at some point if I wanted to. So I wanted to make sure that we have plenty of adequate space for, where I may end up going. The floor is 12 by 12. They're just dry fitted 12 by 12 concrete pavers. So that gives us a really good fire resistant floor. The walls are all concrete board, and we did use the concrete caulk in the seam lines. I chose not to paint this room because I didn't want anything that could peel when it got hot, or to, could potentially put off any kind of additional fumes, or even be, a fire hazard anyway. Down below, there's a cutout. I will probably end up eventually putting a permanent door over here that I can open and close. But right now, I just got the cutout piece of cement board in here. And I've just got a couple of pieces of wood there that keeps it in place. But there is actually it's a vent, a 12 by 12 vent there. So that will allow room to pull in fresh air from the outside. Got an exhaust fan. This is an adjustable exhaust fan. We've got low, medium, high. And I will turn this on while I'm firing as well. Depending on what the weather is outside, I will adjust that speed to help control the temperature of the room. I do have a Bluetooth little thermometer down here, and I have it close to my touch pad for my kiln, because of course that's the most risky part of this kiln. If it gets too hot, it could damage that touch screen. So I do have that connected to my phone, so when I am firing, if I'm inside, I'm able to monitor that temperature over my phone. Around to the side, I've got a workstation, and I'll tell you more about the furniture and where I got it, and kind of what my thoughts were with bringing this in the more detailed version. But I use this for glazing. I'll use it for, if I want to do any kind of detail work or anything like that. Got some nice LED lighting here, additional shelving. Got my little tier shelving for my glazes, so they're easy to find, my brush caddies and such. Off to the left here, I've got, this is an old shutter that I found at an antique store. Didn't spend but a few bucks on it. But I have it actually hung over my circuit panel. So if I need to get to my circuit panel, this lifts up and I'm able to get in there easily. And then I just have stored my placemats that I've gotten for texture and shapes and stuff. I use these little spring clips and have those hooked on there. Got a magnetic board here for some other tools. An old CD shelf here. Right now I've got some foam on it that I plan on using in some projects. Down below I've got some shelving where I'm keeping my slip molds. And here I've got my, it's an old file cabinet, and I use this to store my tools and other equipment, my paperwork and everything in. I have a grinding stone. My husband actually gave this to me. He had like 3 or 4 of them, so he just gave me one, and I didn't have to go and buy an expensive diamond, like a diamond core or anything, because it was just a bit much for me to invest in that. So this certainly works pretty well. I did purchase a brand new small air compressor. I use that air compressor with slip casting. It helps to kind of blast some air up under there to get those poured designs up out of the mold. Sometimes they'll be a little bit stubborn, so that's mostly what I use that for. I do have a palette shelf here that I believe this is the one that my kiln actually came on. So I just turned it into shelving for, you know, my wax resist and some other, my slip and just some other tools and things that I use. I've got my extruder mounted to the wall. We do have it reinforced with a pretty hefty piece of plywood, but this works really good. Right where's that? I've got some extra nails up to hold my dies, and then a ruler down below it. So if I'm trying to make sure that I'm extruding a certain length, then I've got that right there, and I'm not having to guess. I've got a work table here that is on wheels, and this is, you know, super sturdy. This is my workhorse. I'm on this every time I come out here. I'm doing something. And to store my clay right now, I've got it in these plastic containers. I did get these containers from Walmart. Perfect size to hold 25 pounds of clay. However, they are not airtight, so I'm trying to think of a way that I can try and make those a little more airtight. I do store my clay in the bags in there, but they can sit here a while, and I've realized that they'll dry out if I don't use them pretty quick. So I want to try to airtight these as opposed to trying to find a different type of storage container, because these fit so well on my cart. To help with wedging, I've actually got this stool here. This was a freebie from my father-in-law. This works really good to get me up to height. I'm almost 6 foot tall. So this table is probably taller than your average user would have. But even when you're wedging, it's nice to be able to step up here and get that extra force down. So that's what I use that little stool for. And it just slides under here perfect, stays out of the way. Over here to the side, I've got my rolling pin storage. I've got a shelf I use for bisqueware. I've got a shelf I use for glazed ware. And then I've got this additional shelf here that I use for my drape molds or anything else I have. I've got some of my glaze samples up here. I'm going to try and hang these up on the wall. My GR pottery forms is down here. These are my slip for pouring. I've got another bucket for my plaster, which is usually stored in a different place, but I've been out here cleaning, so it's kind of all together right this second. I've got the two lofts. This end has not been finished yet, but we've got this foam insulation, and we're going to put that over there and have it a little better insulated. And then I put this carpet, and this is just like a pre-cut carpet that will roll across here, and you can see it up here on this side. This side's already finished. Eventually I will have a ladder to get up here. Right now I'm just storing things at the edge that I can get to with my little step stool, but my husband will be building me a movable step ladder that I can move from one side to the other, so I can actually, you know, use that storage really well. But if you look up top, you'll see that foam insulation. I'm not even worrying about finishing it out with wall panel, but that's going to really help once we get it on the other end. I've got my apron hanger here. I know somebody's going to fuss me for having a vacuum in here, but I do have this out here, and this is I have a lot of tracking in out here with the grass and stuff. I clean my studio and my anything to do with my clay. I actually clean it with a wet mop, and I've got this little wet mop, I believe from Lowe's, and it's got these replaceable pads, and so I do all my clay cleaning with wet mop, but every now and then I do have to come in and vacuum up this grass because I've got 2 boxers that like to run through here. Myself walking through the grass will bring in debris, so that's what I use the vacuums for. I've got the wet dry vac here for wet clean up because I have actually flooded my sink before, so I have that on hand to be able to clean up well. I have some additional storage here, a couple of crates stacked on an old nightstand that I've added casters on, and I use that to store, you know, anything that I'm pouring, like my plaster molds with. I put my pieces up here. Got some other things hanging on the wall. Yes, I have a fire extinguisher, making sure that I'm ready for the worst case. Hopefully not. But that's my walk around. So I will do another video, and I'll talk about some things in a little more detail. So if you have some questions, just watch that. Thank you.